Welcome into Movie Talk. I'm Eric Stafford. This is Jody Carroll. We're here today. We're going to talk about something that's probably near and dear to your heart because it's coming up. And while you're watching this, the new one's probably out. What am I talking about? Not Indiana Jones. Everybody talks about that. I'm talking about
Mission Impossible.
Mission Impossible. Paramount's other franchise. Because it was actually a Paramount. Indiana Jones was a Paramount movie because if you go back and watch Raiders,
they turn the mountain.
Yeah, the mountain becomes the logo. So, there you go.
Did they leave that in for Disney?
I don't know. I'm sure they did. They probably did.
They probably have to.
Well, I know when Hitchcock died and he left all his movies that he had made at Paramount to Universal, they still show the Paramount logo at the beginning of Psycho and all that. So
I'm still thrown off that now that Disney owns that there's not the 20th Century Fox fanfare.
Yeah, that is kind of, well, but see, they own Fox, so why not?
Yeah.
Kind of consider it a subsidiary or something now.
Because it's always been part of it. Like, wasn't it even on the soundtrack?
Yeah, it's on the soundtracks and stuff. It wasn't on the original soundtrack. Like when it came out in '77, it wasn't on that. But all the like CD releases and stuff they've done since then, it's on there. So because people like that fanfare, and it's not the full fanfare; it's the short version or something. But anyway, George Lucas demanded that be on there because he'd seen so many 20th Century Fox movies, and he's like, no, it's got to have the fanfare. So that's why it was there. And it was actually passé in 1977 for them to do it.
Yeah.
So anyway, but Mission Impossible. Now the first Mission Impossible, I was looking at this and I am using my notes on my phone. So, I'm just like going on the intranets and looking. Because I've seen them all so far. I haven't seen the new one. But... and now we found out there's going to be 8 total. But so the 7th one's the one is currently in theaters, but it's only going to be a half, right? Because apparently the story is too big for one movie.
2 parts.
It's 2 parts.
Like Dune, they got to snap it up.
Yeah, they got to. Well, I kind of understand that with Dune because it's a pretty thick book.
Yeah.
If you're going to try to do it. Oddly enough, same actress in both, in some of the Mission Impossibles. Paul Atreides' mother.
Rebecca Ferguson?
Yeah, he knew her name. I'm so horrible with new actors' names, really.
I just watched all this crap. So.
But anyway, she's, and I was wondering why they picked her. And then I went back and watched these movies, and I'm like, yeah that's why they picked her, because she can do that flying kick thing. Mm-hmm. She can do the kung fu kick. I'm sure they had a wire on her back, so she can get in the air. But
not as wiry as the second one, the John Woo.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that was all on wires and stuff.
Oh God, yeah.
Oh yeah, because John Woo. But anyway, we digress. Let's get back to 1996. Do you remember 1996?
I do remember.
I'm glad somebody does, because for some reason 1993 was a key year for me, and I remember more about 93, and then it kind of gets vague.
Most people weren't born then.
Yeah, most of maybe somebody sitting there today was not born while this was going on. But anyway, I remember when the first Mission Impossible come out, and I remember everybody. It was an event movie. People made a big deal about it, that it was going to be this big event movie.
I remember getting really kind of cheesed off that they introduced the team, and there's like Emilio Estevez and like Kristen Scott
they were great.
And there's just like this great team, and then like they kill them off in like the first 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But then they get the new team.
Yeah, but you get your new team. You get Ving Rhames.
But I thought at the time, I remember getting really cheesed off, like thinking that like, it's Tom Cruise wanting a solo film.
Well, he's wanting to be James Bond, and you knew it was doing Bond without doing Bond. Mm-hmm. And he even and each time he's gotten high profile directors to do it. Like the first time was Brian De Palma. Mm-hmm. And Brian De Palma, if you're not a big Brian De Palma fan, Brian De Palma's biggest first movie, I guess, was Carrie. Mm-hmm. And so Carrie was his big breakout movie. But Brian De Palma kind of...
Was he Raging Bull? No, he wasn't Raging Bull.
No, that I think that's somebody else. But anyway, Brian De Palma, he was a big Hitchcock fanboy.
Yeah.
And so a lot of his stuff, like Body Double, had come out. And at that, if you go back and watch Body Double, it's almost like another Hitchcock movie. It's like for the time, it was like a modern Hitchcock movie.
Yeah.
Because the guy's like, I mean, it's a little bits of Psycho, little bits of.
I don't know where he got Phantom of the Paradise from.
Well, I think that was just learning to make films. But there's stuff I love about Phantom of the Paradise. I mean, even as a kid, that I still love. I still think about Paul Williams every Tuesday, of him going, Tuesday, it's Tuesday. I don't remember that part.
It's like the Phantom's like goes, what is it? And Paul, Tuesday.
And the Phantom, that Phantom, if I could have had an action figure, if I could have had an 8-inch Mego of that Phantom, I would have been thrilled as a kid.
I had a Japanese Yasushi Nirasawa made a female version of it, and you can get that.
Yeah, but I mean, when I was a kid, I mean, now I don't. Now I'd put it on a shelf and it'd get dusty, and that's about what I do with them. But
living with dust.
You play with it. You play with them for a minute, and it's like, okay, that's stupid. That's stupid. I did that. But anyway, when that movie came out in 1996, and if you've not gone back and watched it, it's dated. I mean, it is. There's things that are dated in it because one of the big things is he gets his messages on 8mm cassette tapes. Which now we don't even have cassettes.
It was 27 years ago.
Yeah, so it was 27 years ago. So that was high tech, and it never became. Even when you go back and watch it, as somebody that used Sony cameras, it never became what Sony wanted it to be. Sony wanted it to take off and be this big thing. So he's sitting on the plane at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
And he picks out a movie to watch on 8mm cassette.
Yeah, John Voight did the same scene in the beginning.
Yeah, so he gets that. And that was another thing that got me with that movie was John Voight being in it because Peter Graves was the guy on the TV show, and Peter Graves had done movies. Yeah. I mean, he was like in Airplane and all this other stuff. I mean, you know, he had been a serious actor. And had been known as a serious actor, and I did not understand why he didn't get Peter Graves to play the part. If he would have got that, it would have been a true handoff kind of feeling.
It'd be funny if you find out that like Peter Graves, like I'll never do it.
I doubt it. He would have been thrilled. He would have done it. He's old Hollywood. He would have been like, "Oh, you want me in a picture? I'll be in your picture." You know, you want me in a picture?
Who's the kid stays in the picture?
The kid stays in the I know. Yeah, I forget. I remember that being the title of the movie, the documentary.
The producer dude.
Yeah, but anyway, it was 1996. I remember it was all hot and happening. They were really hyping it on MTV. Yeah. Which the first few of them they really did hype on MTV.
And the wire work, the him being lowered down into the thing.
Oh yeah, being lowered into the.
That became a meme from there on.
Yeah, it became a big thing. It's still a big thing. When you talk about spy movies or something, people always do that kind of scene where it's like, you know, you do the wire work and come down and all of that. At the time, I remember people being very upset. First of all, that John Voight was in it instead of Peter Graves. To play the same character. My thing was he should have just changed the character's name. He shouldn't have been Mr. Phelps. It was just like tough luck, Mr. Phelps, or they could have even mentioned him and said, you know, when Phelps was here. Yeah. You know, when they could have done some kind of homage to that. But I think Tom Cruise was still a little too young to realize that you had people that were fans of the earlier property.
Yeah, that's why it didn't really hit me like how long ago the first movie was until like.
It didn't hit me until I just looked at it.
And when I was watching it the other night, and Tom Cruise is a kid.
Oh yeah, he's incredibly young.
He's like a kid in that movie. He's like definitely like the young one.
And that's one of the things. That's one of the plot points of the movie in a way because they think this kid can't really pull this off. You know, that's what John Voight kind of goes through. Is he doesn't think that he can pull off like overthrowing his plan, his evil plan. So, anyway, another big thing was that I remember at the time was that for that particular one, I don't know about the other ones. I know they've changed it, but the theme was done by Adam Clayton and I forget the other guy's name, but the two guys that you don't know in U2.
Oh. I didn't recognize the names.
Yeah, but Adam Clayton, the drummer, and the guy that played bass did the theme.
There are people that play bass and drums in U2?
In U2.
I thought it was just the Edge and...
No. So you see, everybody thinks it's just the Edge of Bono, but they're the big front men. But this was their...
Oh, I didn't know that.
This was their one thing. And I had a CD single.
Oh.
That's not irritating. Play one song and then have to pop it out and play another song. But I had a CD single.
It didn't have like a remix?
It had like 2 or 3 versions of it, but you know, how long are you going to listen to that? But you know, after you hear the first 30 seconds, because that's all they used on TV. Anyway, they recut that song, and that was another part of the big MTV kind of push of it, was that. And then
it's not your dad's Mission Impossible.
Yeah, it ain't your dad's Mission. It's not the Mission Impossible you used to watch on TV.
Now it's like not your grandpa's Mission Impossible.
Not your great grandpa's Mission Impossible. But yeah, great grandpa's, because I remember that was a popular show when my parents were young adults. So there you go. But that particular movie, I remember the push for that. The end of the film. If you haven't seen it, well, we're coming up on how many years now? 96, so what?
32, no, 20, it's 27 years.
Yeah, so it's coming up on 30 years, so you've had plenty of time to watch it, and God knows Tom Cruise has put it out there for you to get it on any available format.
Yeah, they're all on Paramount Plus and on Pluto, which is for free.
Yeah.
So the first 4.
The first 4?
Yeah, are on Pluto.
Well, all of them are on Paramount Plus.
Yeah.
I can tell you that, because that's how I watched the last 2. But anyway...
well, that's what I meant to tell you, that is that, like, I was like, it turned out like the last 2 I had to get Paramount Plus.
Oh, no.
And I'm like...
I didn't mean to put you in.
Well, I was wanting to watch the new Star Trek anyway.
I made him get a subscription.
It's $7. I figured keep it for a month. And well, I wanted to watch the new Star Trek anyway, and so then like the 5th and 6th, which like I didn't even like. Eric told me like to brush up on the Mission Impossible, and I go, I don't think. And then I looked on Wikipedia and like there's 6 of these things. and like it just like it doesn't feel like that. It feels like there's 4. And like so there's 6 of them, and then like 5 and 6 are on, and then like I started watching them last night, and I watched 5 and 6 last night, and I'd already seen them.
Oh wow, you had already seen them. I just completely didn't remember.
I just completely forgot about them. I remember that poop chute toilet bowl in the 5th one. Instead of like going down on wires or whatever, they had They had to jump down
the computer cooling core.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
Got to use the proper name.
Okay.
I was
the big water poop chute, and so like he went down in there, and so I'm like, I remember this. I've seen this movie, and then like the second one, I didn't remember the beginning or whatever, and I don't remember Rebecca Ferguson's character at all. I don't remember crap about that movie, but now I watched them last night.
You refreshed yourself.
I got refreshed, but yeah, like the last one, Fallout.
Yeah.
And so I got messed up because Henry Cavill's in it, and like, you know what, like I don't think I lean that way, but like Henry Cavill in a suit, how you doing?
Well, he's so burly in that, and they really do up the burly.
Yeah,
because I just watched that one for the first time last night.
I got it mixed up. I thought that like, because I didn't think that I'd watched the Mission Impossible, but where he like cocks his arms.
Yeah.
Where he's like he's trying to loosen up his shirt, but he's trying
to get them. He's so tight in that shirt. He's trying to get to where he can punch somebody without ripping the shirt, without hulking out.
They keep talking about like how in these superhero films, like it happened in Thor, and Captain America and in the Superman, the Snyder Superman, is that like Cavill and like Hemsworth and like Chris Evans or whatever worked out too much, and so they didn't fit in the suits anymore.
Oh God!
And just like okay guys, all right, we get it. You're cut. But but yeah, like once I saw like that, yeah, it wasn't in The Man from U.N.C.L.E. That bathroom scene was in.
Yeah, they're in the bathroom in Fallout. But and you're kind of you kind of know where they're going with this. That at some point, jumping all the way to the last movie, you kind of get the impression they're going to pull the 1-2 punch of Superman's really a bad guy.
Right.
Yeah. So you knew they were going to kind of go that way.
Well, they did a really good job of like I didn't think that he was a bad guy. I just thought he was a butthole.
Yeah, they try to,
They made it like seem like he was like a team player. So like I was kind of like a little bit. I was just
Actually, Angela Bassett's worse than all of them.
Right.
She's really horrible in that movie. I mean, she's a good actress, but she's just mean.
Did she age? Is she immortal?
No, she must be. And it's just like, that's why I don't understand why they killed her off in the last Black Panther movie. Because it's like why would you kill her off? You've already lost Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah.
Hang on to Angela Bassett. But anyway, so from the first one, going back to the first one, I remember at the time people were mad because the end of the movie, if you haven't seen it, almost 30 years, the helicopter flies into the train.
Right.
And into the train tunnel, into the channel. The channel between Paris and London.
Oh, was that supposed to be that?
That was tunnel? When that opened. It was close to when it opened. It was only a few years after it opened. And so that's why it was a big international kind of scene. So then, you have the Frenchman flying the helicopter at him. What's the name? The
Jean
professional.
Renault.
Yeah, the professional is flying after
Leon
him.
Leon
the professional. And so he flies in there, and then, but everybody was like, oh man, this is the end of Super Cop, which was a Chinese action film with Jackie Chan. And people were very mad about that.
I remember my favorite animated GIF there for a while in like the 2000s was in the Mission Impossible movie. They had this gum, and you would mash the gum together, and it would become an explosive.
Red light, green light.
And so that's what. So Tom Cruise like jumped onto the helicopter and slapped it onto the bubble.
The screen, yeah.
And then it blew up. But the animated GIF of like you kids will like this. He like slaps it, and they digitally put like a Pokemon card of a Charizard.
Oh!
Like he Pokemon carded him, and then it blew up.
And then it had it's always gone for like the last moment, because there's one, then after the helicopter blows up, then he's almost beheaded by the blades.
Yeah.
And
well, Jean Renault like almost like kind of came in and like tried to get him once.
Yeah.
And then like the tail hit. But that scene for you gorehounds, for you horror gorehounds, Jon Voight totally eats it like on that skid.
Oh yeah.
Like that, yeah, like they actually like show the helicopter skid like running him into the ground. It's kind of nasty.
Kind of nasty if you think about it. Well, Emilio Estevez at the beginning of the movie is pretty horrible.
Yeah, it's like a jagged piece of metal, and like he was on top of an elevator. I don't understand like why they installed that. Well, I don't know why you would have that.
Just to kill Emilio Estevez.
No, it was like they pushed the button, and then like all these like robo fingers poked down. But then there was like one random shard of metal that was the one that killed Emilio.
Yeah.
So why do you need all the robo fingers if that?
Who knows?
I guess they had to hope that Emilio sat where he sat.
To hack the
to get perfectly.
And because it was 1996, you're seeing all these 80s stars.
Yeah.
And you were kind of like, oh man, he's in this, and then like you say, they all die. Then you're like,
and then poor Emilio like was in like a million Mighty Ducks movies after that.
Yeah. Well, the first one was a success, so he milked that cow.
I guess you got to.
He's got to milk the cow. But anyway, so then we moved to Mission Impossible 2, and I remember them making a big deal about number 2.
Yeah, that was in 2000.
So that was, according to the phone, Yes, that was in 2000. So, and that's the one that John Woo did.
And it was John Woo at his wooziest.
It was very woozy. And it's kind of funny because the first movie, he was criticized for ripping off Super Cop.
Yeah.
And then, did John Woo direct Super Cop?
I don't think so.
I don't think so, but he is a Chinese action guy. And so then the second movie, he just got John Woo to do it. But the big notorious thing about that I remember at the time about Mission Impossible 2 was, well, first of all, he's got, what's the Hannibal Lecter? What's the I'm horrible with
Anthony
names.
Hopkins.
He's got Anthony Hopkins apparently working for the the IMF,
right?
Because he's the one that talks to him. So I know he's got a great voice, but why is this British guy working for the IMF? But there you go. I just thought that was kind of odd. But so when that movie came out, the guy, I'm trying to think of who he is a bad guy in the film. Douglas Ray Scott.
Oh yeah.
So Douglas Ray Scott, who's very well known in England and abroad, he's very well known for being kind of a great actor and stuff. He was scheduled to play Wolverine in the first X-Men movie.
Yeah.
And he couldn't do it because Tom Cruise hadn't finished filming Mission Impossible 2, and that's why they hired Hugh Jackman to be Wolverine.
And then we've been stuck with that for
20, almost 30 years, because that was going on at the same time.
Not that I think Hugh Jackman's.
Yeah, but okay. And we're going to go ahead and go here. We're going to go here right now. We're doing it.
You're going to get sued?
No. People at home that didn't read the comic books don't know that Wolverine's supposed to be 5 foot tall.
Yeah, he's little.
He's short.
He should be like Danny DeVito.
Yeah, and actually John Byrne had even said that Danny DeVito was who he thought of.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Because Danny DeVito was in Taxi when John Byrne was drawing the X-Men. So to have a 6 foot or 7 foot dude, muscle dude being Wolverine is, that's kind of odd. But anyway, Douglas Ray Scott kind of got career knockout because he. But do you think that Douglas Ray Scott would have been a standout role for him? Do you think it? I don't think that the role itself was that way. I think Hugh Jackman made it that way.
Yeah.
Because in that first X-Men movie, he doesn't really do anything. He just has the great line of, "What do you want me to do? Wear yellow spandex?" Which he does.
Actually, yes.
Yes.
As a
and
nerd,
everybody's wanted it ever since.
Yeah, and as a nerd, yes, you should have wore yellow
Everybody
spandex.
wanted him to wear yellow spandex. And they still want him to wear yellow spandex.
They poked fun at it in that one movie, that one Wolverine movie, where he had the
he got the case at the end.
He got the outfit.
And apparently they filmed him in the outfit at one point. They filmed a scene with him in said outfit.
You'd think that would be on the internet.
But they did not release it. You think that's $1 million. That's something. That's the cover of the New York Post or something.
And then they're bringing him back for the next Deadpool. And I'd rather eat my leg than watch a Deadpool.
Really? The second one wasn't that great, but I mean the first one was fun, but I still wasn't, all into it. I mean,
it's like those movies. It's like, okay, Ryan Reynolds is a handful, and then bringing T.J. Miller in, it's just, I don't know.
And then Deadpool's a handful. I mean, the character itself is just,
It's just, it's Bugs Bunny. It's Bugs Bunny.
It's Bugs Bunny, but at the same time, it's like it was all because the cartoonist that made Deadpool, what's his face?
Rob Liefeld.
Rob Liefeld. When Rob Liefeld did that, he was so in love with the Deathstroke the Terminator.
Yeah, and he wanted to make Spider-Man with swords.
Yeah, so there you go. So that's how he came up with that, was he basically ripped off a DC character, which they've been doing back and forth for decades, years and years. But anyway, I remember that being a big deal. I remember for MI2. One of the best things about the entire movie is going back and watching the little MTV movie special thing that Ben Stiller being Tom Cruise's stuntman.
Oh my God!
And you remember that?
No,
have you seen it?
No, but I remember Ben Stiller at any chance possible. Ben Stiller thinks that he looks like Tom Cruise. And he will.
Well, he kind of pulled it off in that. If you go back and watch it, I mean, that moment is as close as he was ever going to look to Tom Cruise. I'll put you that.
Yeah.
I'll give you that.
But he's gone out of his way to do skits where he gets to play Tom Cruise.
But he does him so well. As far as an impression, he doesn't really. That's another irritating thing. Maybe we could get him in a Deadpool movie.
I don't know. It's like what's that movie, Zoolander?
Yeah, I haven't watched Zoolander. I've intentionally avoided Zoolander.
You can tell that there's
two of them.
There's a meta thing. There are two of them.
Yeah, there are two of them.
I only sat through the first one. You could tell that Ben Stiller really thinks he's handsome, and I'm self-deprecating and all that. No, he thinks that he's pretty.
Well, I mean, he's a Hollywood guy.
And he casts. Well, yeah. I can't blame him. He's a Hollywood kid.
His parents have told him he's great. And look at his parents.
He's a Nepo baby.
But look at his parents and then look at him. And he won the genetic lottery because you got two ugly parents, you got a good looking kid.
He did dodge.
So he's a lot better looking than they are.
He did dodge a genetic bullet there.
Yeah. But if you got two ugly parents, I mean, this is just genetics, man.
Right.
If you got two ugly parents, you got a good-looking kid.
Why am I picking on Ben Stiller?
I don't know.
He's never done anything to me.
But y'all know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. But you know right now, sitting in your living room, you know two people that have a really good-looking kid, and you're like, dang, how'd they have a good-looking kid? Because they're both hideous.
And so I guess I'll forgive Ben Stiller because he's from Hollywood and
but he's been told all his life he's great and he's fabulous and I mean who else has like MTV deals when they're like 20 years old and that kind of junk?
True.
I mean, come on.
I think that Reality Bites, that movie Reality Bites, where he kind of played the evil version of himself.
Yeah.
I think it stuck with me.
Well, it could have. And I mean, he's kind of that way in Dodgeball. He's the evil version of himself.
Right.
Because he's the bad guy in that. But, I mean, he's kind of the... I mean, he's kind of like Nick Cage. He's kind of like over the top. But he kind of, but I mean, he's known for that. But, Nicolas Cage is the same way. People don't think about Nicolas Cage being a Coppola. And so he's had all this stuff handed to him.
Yeah, he named himself after Luke Cage.
Yeah, the comic book
character.
The Power Man.
Oh, my God. It's like Luke Cage is so good in some stuff and so trash in others.
Nick Cage or Luke Cage?
Nick Cage.
Get them cages right.
And then I don't know like what it is about I need somebody self-deprecating or something like that. There's that movie with Pedro Pascal where it's just Nick Cage is awesome.
Which one is that?
It's got like a incredibly like long name. It's something like The Incredible Something of Being.
Oh, The Unbearable Lightness of Being or something?
Yeah, and it's like Pedro Pascal is like Nicolas Cage's biggest fan. And then so like Nicolas Cage plays Nicolas Cage being catered to for 2 hours.
Okay.
Can't do it.
I probably dodged that bullet. But anyway.
He's good in a lot of other stuff. And so I keep wondering if it's the director.
It is the director because it's how much the director lets him get away with.
Maybe that's it.
Because if they let him bring what he wants to the table and just don't rein him in.
What is it in Gone in 60 Seconds where he would like... he'd have some sort of spasm before he'd start driving his car?
Yeah, but he had to hear Lowrider. Was it Lowrider? Was the song? Bum, 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 bum,
was it that? Was that? I don't remember that.
And he's like, Got to hear Lowrider. Got to hear, and then that's
I thought he just had a
when he did it.
spasm. I don't
No,
know
he
the
was
song.
listening to Lowrider. He had to hear that song before he.
That's even weirder.
Yeah, it was a little thing, but I mean, that's what actors do. Is they kind of expect them to do that. But there's a movie with him, and I don't recommend the movie because it's not that the movie is bad. It just grosses me out, and I'll probably never watch it again. But The Color from Space, which is based on the
H.P. Lovecraft.
H.P. Lovecraft, and Nicolas Cage plays the dad, and what I was so impressed with Nicolas Cage in that movie is the movie's about the kids, and he lets it be about the kids, and he's the dad. And so he does his Nicolas Cage thing because there's some crazy stuff happens to him, and he gets a little insane, and so he does his Nicolas Cage, I'm insane, that he does in every movie. And so he does that, but what I thought was great about it was here he is the main star. He's the reason they probably even got to make the movie. And then he took the backseat role. He took the role that the dad would take.
There's been a lot of those like kind of indie horror movies like Mandy.
Mandy's just weird, man.
That I haven't watched because of Nicolas Cage.
I've heard Pig's good, but I haven't watched it.
Oh, that's right.
Because there's one called Pig. There's one where he's like doing the Five Nights at Freddy's thing where he's...
Yeah.
And I haven't watched that one either. But, I'm never disappointed with Nick Cage. I'm going to say that. I do at least enjoy Nick Cage in it. Even the second Ghost Rider movie.
That's why I don't think I've ever told you. Do you know the name Aaron Fechter?
Not personally, no.
He's the one that came up with the Brock-a-Fire explosion from Showbiz Pizza. The animatronic band?
Yeah.
What Five Nights at Freddy's ripped off?
Yeah.
In downtown Orlando right now, in an RV, there's a man who makes animatronics, like sitting outside of his factory, which has not been touched since the 80s. And he gives tours, like creepy tours.
Okay.
And it's a real life Five Nights at Freddy's.
Well, there you go.
So go to Orlando
and pay the guy to see the...
Yeah, he'll accept the money.
The Hillbilly Jug Band or whatever. What was it they had? Because that's what everybody thinks about is the Hillbilly Jug Band. So all that happened with MI2. So watch the Ben Stiller thing.
And John Woo managed to fit at least one dove.
One dove?
Yeah, there was one dove in one scene. Like there was like a pole that he had to like jump across, and there was like one dove.
Yeah, but I mean, still, there's at the end they have like all the doves flying out of the.
Well, yeah. But I thought.
Very John Woo.
I thought it was funny that he had a scene with one dove though.
Yeah, but that's John Woo as a director. That's his signature is to have a dove in the picture, and he's known for it. And so at the very end of that one, all these doves are. While he's facing down Douglas Ray Scott, all these doves are there. So, okay, we had that in 2000. So that was 4 years between the two movies.
Yeah.
And I remember people making a big deal about it, and it being that probably was the most hyped one on MTV, I will say, was that one. Then, 6 years later, see, this is why everybody thought this was over. This was done. And then 6 years later, MI3 comes out. And MI3 is, I remember people going, this is pretty good, and it's better than you think it would be. I remember that being part of the review.
I'd never seen it before the other night.
Yeah, so people were like, it's better than you thought it would be.
Yeah, and they hook Ethan Hunt up with like a wife.
Yeah.
In that one.
Yeah. Which he still has to this day.
Well, they're not married, but she keeps showing up.
She keeps showing up.
Which is kind of cool because like in the fourth movie, they just kind of like in the beginning of the movie they just kind of go, oh well, they broke up.
They just play it off.
Yeah, but then like later on they made it. They said like toward the end of the fourth movie, like someone sat someone down and they go, no, he had to like protect her life, and
she knew he had to be out there protecting the world,
and she wanted him out there protecting.
She wanted him out there protecting. Ving Rhames has to tell him that. Luther has to tell the wife that. Michelle Monaghan. But anyway, that's the one with Philip Seymour Hoffman. That's the bad guy, and I remember everybody really talking about. That's what I got to give to Tom Cruise. Everybody that he gets for these ends up having a big career.
Yeah.
Because and I don't think this from the Mission Impossible movies. It's like they were already on their way to a big career, but then he kind of gives them a little boost.
Yeah.
And so then they're kind of seen as serious, a little more serious than they were. And so at the time, Philip Seymour Hoffman had only done...
Well, he'd done mostly indie stuff. And
he'd done independent movies and stage acting.
And he was getting well known for doing like Paul Thomas Anderson movies.
Yeah.
But as for blockbusters, being in blockbusters.
Yeah. So this was his blockbuster. And so and people, and he is a dastardly villain in this movie, and he does a good job with it. But I remember it being directed by J.J. Abrams, and everybody talking about it at the time.
And I can't stand J.J. Abrams, but like just having seen it the other night, it was a decent one.
Too much lens flare?
No,
Okay?
no. The lens flare hadn't come up yet.
Oh, okay. I hadn't found the lens flare yet. He would always put the little lens flare effect, especially if you go back and watch the first Star Trek.
Yeah.
It's blinding, the lens flare.
Well, that's what I thought that it, like, you got to stand out. And so, like, I didn't mind. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
I just like the one thing the one scene I didn't understand is that the captain comes on the bridge right at the beginning, and they're like literally staring at a sun, and he goes, "Polarize the screen, please." And just like and you just wonder how many crew members like just go, "Oh, thank God."
I'm glad.
We've been staring at this star for like 20 minutes.
My retinas are burning.
Just I can't see anything.
I'm so glad the captain said that.
Polarize screen, please.
But that particular movie, and I think that's the first one with Simon Pegg in it.
Yeah.
So that brings Simon Pegg in it, which is kind of his right-hand man through the rest of them.
And then like, oh my gosh, what's the guy's name? Rhys Ifans? There's a guy who flies a helicopter, and he is like a nobody. Like he is like you just keep forgetting, who's that guy in the background?
Oh yeah.
And I guess he's the helicopter guy. But he was like, they made a new, like they had a new, each movie he comes up with a new team.
Yeah, but it's always, he's getting together his Mission Impossible team.
Yeah,
and if you go back to the original show, they changed actors so many times through over 7 seasons.
I never got to see the original show.
Now, the original show, I went back and watched one last night because I knew we were going to talk about this. And I had grown up watching Mission Impossible. And so I was like, I haven't seen one in a coon's age. So I knew it'd been a long time. So I was like, I'm going to watch one. And I found one with William Shatner in it.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. And he was playing an old gangster, and they had him made up old. And he was playing an old gangster. And
did he get to do that?
Well, he didn't get to, but anyway, they were trying to incriminate him from a crime he committed in the 30s, because you got to remember this is like 1970 probably when this came out. And so they were trying to get him to admit to a crime he had committed in the 30s. And so they made him up. They knocked the guy out. He went to the barber shop to get a shave and a haircut.
Well, did they not?
And they knock him out, and then they make up his face so that he looks like young William Shatner.
Oh, okay.
And they dyed his hair and everything, and then they put him on a city street in like a movie studio that looked like the 30s and all this stuff. And they were like, when Johnny come to town and tried to wipe you out, and apparently he had murdered the guy, and that's what his whole criminal empire was built on. But they did this big elaborate hoax to get him to admit on tape that
I was wondering why
he had killed whoever.
I was wondering why you said they dressed him up in old makeup, and I'm like, well, then was there a flashback? Yeah,
so it wasn't a flashback. It was like they had made him up to look like he did when he was young, which I don't think they could have pulled off.
I still think. Well, I mean, knowing how I feel old, you could dress me up like and make me look like I'm 20. I'll still feel old.
Well, they gave him some kind of pain reliever too,
okay.
And they said he won't be feeling that bad leg he's got and stuff like they did say that, but it was kind of, I mean, this was a 1 hour TV show back in 1970, so
Yeah,
it was hokey, you know. But anyway, that's what they were trying to do. But
Oh, in the third one, in the J.J. Abrams one,
Yeah.
Carrie Russell from what was J.J. Abrams' show that had Carrie Russell in it?
you're talking to the wrong dude.
And everyone got mad when she cut her hair. But she played a spy, and she lasted 20 minutes, and like it was just like one of those where you thought she was going to join the team, and then they did this weird thing where who's the bad guy? What's the
Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Yeah, Philip Seymour Hoffman stuck a bomb in her brain, and so like they were just sitting there and they were trying to help her, and all of a sudden you hear this, and her eyes go goofy, and like they kept cutting back to her like having one gray eye and one eye like one wall eye.
Felicity.
She
was in Felicity.
And so, but they kept cutting back to her beautiful face with these like goofy eyes.
Yeah, because it'd blown her brain out. Because you thought that was another.
Yeah.
They do a lot of red herrings, so that was one of the things which you thought she was going to be the love.
And in that one, Tom Cruise's Ethan Hunt, he was a trainer. He trained. He wasn't a field operator.
Yeah, because they already knew he was too old to be.
Yeah.
Probably
too old.
Yeah, because to be jumping off buildings and stuff, and see that already kind of like, and that's why they married him off.
I want to see Peter Graves do that crap.
Well, Peter Graves did all right. What I was watching.
No, but I mean, like, I think that do a Mission Impossible where he gets to hang from a wire.
Oh yeah, well yeah.
My truss. Oh.
So then, 5 years later. They do Mission Impossible 4, Ghost Protocol.
With Brad Bird.
With Brad Bird directing.
And I really like that one. I really like that one a lot.
And I remember that one getting the most great reviews because that kind of saved the franchise. Because it was, you know, we talk about the third one being people thought it was old hat, but then he hadn't really struck while the fire was hot and did this other one until 5 years later, and so it did the same kind of thing. It was like, so they become event movies because he pulls out all the stops and he gets these great people to do them. Mm-hmm. So it does. It is a good time. I've never seen one that I didn't like that I thought was just heinous.
No, like that's what I was prepared to like. This is far and away the most dangerous thing. I was prepared to see a stinker.
Yeah, at some point you're thinking there's going to be something bad.
And like for something for a franchise that and when you were talking about franchise earlier this week that Eric said, hey, we're going to talk movies like Indiana Jones has like the fifth one coming out, and I keep forgetting that there was a fourth. And then but then I got cracked up like thinking, oh my gosh, that new Transformer movie with the Beast Wars crap. Yeah. That's the seventh.
And I may have watched the first two. Honest to God,
they're like all like none like there are people like online that they try to reconcile. Every single one of those movies are a standalone movie, and they keep going. Well, according to the continuity, there is no continuity in those movies. Yeah, and that's why I was talking about it the other night. I don't think that Michael Bay knows the characters' names.
He probably does.
Hey, you hot chick. You hot chick and Shia LaBeouf. You gotta go over there. And then there was the two movies with Marky Mark.
Yeah.
Hey, Optimus, how's your mother? How's she doing? Awful.
She was out with this stripper. What was her name? Lindsay. You know where they go through the stripper. It's in Ted. But anyway, so MI4 comes out, the Brad Bird one, and I remember that it really revitalizing it again, and people going, man, this is pretty good. Now this time he got a little smarter because I think people had kind of called him out that it was like, hey, stupid, you might need to do them closer together than 5 or 6 years. But so he did 4. So 2015 was MI5, and which I just watched.
And that was Brad Bird's first. That was Brad Bird's first live action movie. He's usually done animation.
Yeah, so Brad Bird is known for Incredibles.
Family Dog, which was on Amazing Stories way back when for
Yeah.
Steven. And then he worked on The Simpsons forever. The Incredibles, both Incredibles.
Did he direct? No, I'm thinking of Chris Johnson. I'm thinking of Johnson that directed Captain America. That's who I was
Joe
thinking of.
Johnson.
Joe Johnson. I was thinking of Joe Johnson. But anyway, so the fifth one comes out, and it's called Rogue Nation.
Yeah.
And I remember that one because that's the one that blew up the Kremlin. And I had seen it when it came out, but I hadn't seen it in a while, so I went back and watched it again.
I liked in that one, I liked that they were disavowed, which happens a lot. But they were disavowed, and the Impossible Mission team is like, now they don't have any support, so none of their crap worked.
Yeah.
Like nothing, everything kept screwing up, and then Ethan Hunt would just go, "I'll make it work. I'll make it work."
But yeah, that was I remember that one because of the they were going to put the mask, because that's a big thing in Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
So they're going to put the mask on the guy, and then the mask didn't work. Or they
Yeah,
couldn't get
the mask machine farted out.
Yeah, it couldn't get to work.
It pooped the bed when it was about done. It goes.
Yeah. So and that was the one where he hung on the outside of the plane. That people made that was his big.
Oh yeah, that was
one.
what. Yeah, I keep meaning to talk about each Mission Impossible has
the signature stunt.
Yeah, and that was the one thing that I really have to give Tom Cruise props for, is that they really go out of their way to make practical stunt shots. There's not a lot of CG, although in the Woo one there was a lot of CG.
Maybe that's why. Maybe that's
and there was a lot of wire work
and a lot of wire work. But that's Hong Kong.
It's funny that Ethan Hunt in the second one, he kept doing these crazy flips that no one can do, and then later on when Rebecca Ferguson is introduced, she does the John Wick, where you just kind of sandwich yourself around somebody and just bring them to the floor.
Yeah.
You just weigh them down. But I thought it was kind of cool that they gave her signature moves.
Yeah,
but I'm jumping ahead to the fifth.
No, that's okay. It's all good. I think that's where we were. We were on the fifth.
But for the stunts. So the first one had the wire, hanging by the wire thing.
Hanging by the wire.
John Woo brought in this crazy Ronin
Well, the big stunts I remember from the second one being the motorcycles.
Yeah, the motorcycle stuff.
The motorcycle stunts, because he could actually balance.
Have you ever seen
the motorcycle on the front wheel? Yeah, I've seen it.
Ronin is just like one big chase scene.
Yeah.
And so and then the third one. What was the stunt for that one?
The third one.
Because in the fourth, it's like he was hanging on the side of a Dubai building.
Yeah. I remember the third one being the big thing, or the shot that they always showed, was the plane. There was an airliner that gets blown up by Philip Seymour Hoffman or whatever, and Tom Cruise gets thrown into the back of a car from the blast.
Yeah.
And I remember that being a big scene for some reason. The blast went off, and it was so bad that he basically got knocked backwards.
Now there was a scene, and oh my gosh, I can't remember I think it was from The Mummy, where there was another a big tanker. But I don't know, did you see that? There was a big tanker plane, and Tom Cruise is wanting to do one of his big stunts, and it was in that new Mummy movie, the Dark Universe movie.
Yeah. Which I didn't think was that bad. I didn't think it was bad enough to kill the franchise before it started.
Well, they're just chickens. But there was a commercial that had Tom Cruise doing this stunt where he's about to fall out of a plane, and they've got him roped in or whatever, but it's scary as heck. And so, but there was a commercial that had his audio isolated, and so him screaming like a girl. And they fixed
As
it.
anyone would.
I mean, well, yeah, it's I'm not making fun. Like I would be doing it too. Like you're like literally like harnessed into a plane that's open on the
Yeah.
like the cargo bay door open or whatever. But it was so funny like hearing because like everyone's like that commercial sounded so weird, and him screaming his ass off.
Because that's what you would do.
I think you can find it online too. I don't think they were able to hide it. They were able to. They switched it out, but someone has it online.
But okay, so
what was the stunt in the third?
The third one the biggest thing I remember is them showing him getting bumped by that blast.
And there was another wire thing that he did. There was another wire. So maybe it was just a mix.
And the third one is also the first one with Jeremy Renner in them.
Right.
So,
remember when Jeremy Renner was a thing?
Well, he was until he got hurt. So.
Well, I think he's doing okay. The plow didn't
Didn't actually rip his leg off. So.
You hear about those awful things like that dude that plays Mayhem? In the commercials or whatever?
Yeah.
He got some sort of flesh-eating virus and just like, oh. Maybe all those Band-Aids and stuff in the commercials are real.
It could be it. That could be exactly what it is. So I'm going to be crazy and Google it.
What, the big stunt in number 3?
And the big stunt in MI3. Biggest stunt in cinematic history.
But Tom Cruise really does go out of his way to like, as weird as he is with the Scientology crap and all the sketchy stuff with David Miscavige, like he really kind of goes out of his way.
They're already. I mean, you can't even search it without like it going to the new movie and the big stunt that they're doing in that one. So,
but he's given stunt guys like a lot of work, which is kind of cool.
There's a daring leap. He jumps off a building and then has a parachute. But that's the big one from 3. So he actually did the run and jump off the top of the building. So that was the big thing.
Now they're all mashed together. He jumps off of like 5 buildings, and so.
Yeah. But that's the thing is you're like
But yeah, the third one like he settled down at the end with Michelle Monaghan.
Yeah, he settled down, and you were like, and that was another thing is they were kind of progressively aging him, and then now like I watched 5 and 6 this week, and in those they're not. They're like. That's off the table. He's still a tough guy, and he's still in the field. And
I think that's him. That's him. Like I'm not.
He's still kicking.
I'm kicking.
He's still kicking. So, but yeah, that's the biggest thing in that movie was him taking a long leap off of a building, and but you'd seen him hanging off, like you said in the third one. You'd seen him hanging off. And doing the wire work on the side of the buildings in Dubai or whatever.
Yeah.
Do you know the difference between Abu Dhabi and Dubai?
Dubai?
Dubai, yeah.
What about them?
People in Dubai don't like the Flintstones, but the people in Abu Dhabi do. There you go.
I'm enjoying it on some level. Did you hear about the line?
What?
The line?
The line?
Yeah.
No.
They're trying to build this like city, and instead of a grid, it's just like one big wall, like the wall of China, and like everything is like built, and just like that's why we build stuff in grids, so you don't have to walk very far to go anywhere or whatever.
Yeah.
But now, if you want to go to Target, you might have to drive like an hour. Like down, like it's like literally like imagine like a city that's 4 blocks wide, but like 1,000 blocks long. And they go, and this will make a lot more sense. And it's like, no,
No,
no, it
then
doesn't. You are never building this.
Well, if it was like, it's almost sounds like a side scroller, like a Mario game.
No, that's what. Yeah, and it's got all these like trains that would go like up and down the line or whatever, and just like, well, why don't you just build it into a grid?
I like the 4th target, not the 3rd one.
When I went to the UK, it turns out that like London has all these like weird roads because they let the cows decide. Those were the cow paths.
Well, it's kind of like, here, I mean, if you go up the mountains, it was some drunk and a horse.
Yeah.
Seriously. Yeah.
Their preferred path.
Staircase Mountain, man.
I can't remember. I saw online like recently that there's a name for it. Like whenever your dog walks through the yard and your dog will walk the same path over and over, like his preferred path. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And there's a name for that, and it's just like that's the way that people and like a lot of colleges figured out like the way that grass was like worn out on their common areas, like like the big grassy areas between the buildings, whatever. They'll start paving where the kids walk because it makes the most sense. But there's a term for that.
I want to say like Rover or something. The way the dog
from the prisoner.
No, just like a dog.
Rover got him.
That's another spy genre thing. They've never brought that back successfully. They tried to bring the prisoner back. There was like one little A&E movie or
You
something.
showed me that one episode, and I got the box set somewhere. It's in storage, and I've never watched it all, so you got to watch it with me.
Man, you got to watch them all. They're all good.
It's so man.
It just, that last one just is like, throw the script out. Let's just.
I've already had it spoiled for me.
Yeah, just throw the script out. But anyway, last night I watched the 6th one so far.
Yeah, I watched 5 and 6 last night.
Yeah. Okay.
Which those are sister pieces.
Yeah, they're bookends.
And I think it's funny that the bad guy, Solomon Lane.
And I hated Solomon Lane.
Well,
I didn't hate him because he was a villain. I hated his little wimpy voice. His little wimpy voice, dude.
In the first one, he's clean cut with glasses, and he's like, and like he's like clear, he's like he's got no chin, and like the dude, like he was in Prometheus. He normally has like a big beard.
Yeah.
So like in the first movie, he's this like clean cut little nerdy dude. And the second one, he looks like Ted Kaczynski. And it took me like a full 20 minutes to realize, oh, that's the same dude.
Yeah, it's the same guy. He's back.
But he like looked so drastically different because he had his trademark beard out.
Now,
and
do you think he's coming back for the new movie? Because they kind of have made him like a Moriarty to Ethan Hunt's Sherlock Holmes.
Well, now I'm actually interested in seeing the 7th one. But yeah, like he was the big baddie of the 2 parts, and they brought the wife back.
Yeah,
and they introduced Rebecca Ferguson, Ilsa Faust, which is like about as close as you can get as to a Bond girl.
Yeah, I know, but at the same time, it's like she's supposed to be British, and why in the heck is her name Ilsa? She works for MI6.
Yeah, Ilsa Faust. Maybe she's like more Scandinavian or Belgian or
I don't know.
German.
Make her sound more worldly. So.
But she owed MI6 stuff. And
no, she was an agent. She just like
no, but there was something that she had to like. She owed somebody something, didn't she?
No,
like she had to make good with somebody.
She had to make good with them because she was with Lane. She was with Simon Lane or whatever his name.
And it was the Syndicate in the 5th movie, and then they became the Acolytes in the 6th movie.
Yeah. So you had the Syndicate and Acolytes, which are basically their versions of Smersh and what's the one that oh god,
Smersh?
Blofeld runs. Smersh is
it wasn't Spectre?
Yeah, Spectre is okay. Smersh was the Russians that were against Smersh. It's actually in, if you go back and watch From Russia with Love.
Smersh?
The little red-haired Russian lady, Clegg or whatever, with the brass knuckles, and Robert Shaw, that's Smersh. which was the Russian spy agency.
Smurf sounds like an 80s kids cartoon.
Well, it was in the 60s. It was even before that. Anyway, I wonder if Simon is going to show up again.
Probably. Well, I mean, like, I don't know.
But I hated him in that. I hated him in that first movie because, like you say, he didn't have a chin, and then he barely talked.
That's what, like, and like, I keep thinking, I have to keep reminding myself that when someone like annoys me that bad, I keep thinking, well, maybe they did a good job of acting. Maybe they did a good job because they make me hate them.
Yeah, you just don't like the guy at all, and
I need to get you to watch Jupiter Ascending because if you hated that dude going, Eddie Redmayne does this voice like this, and he's the big bad guy, and he's very soft spoken, and you just want to beat him. You just want to beat him.
Like, speak up, say something. But anyway, and they keep showing the stuff about the stunt.
Solomon Lane.
Solomon Lane.
And then there was another character named Lark that.
Well, that was the red herring. You didn't know who Lark was.
Yeah, but Lark and Lane, those are too close. I kept.
But you know, is Ethan Hunt himself Lark, or is that's what the whole premise of the last movie was? Was you? It wasn't that they were framing it, he was being framed, but they were kind of making it out like
and
CIA and IMF didn't know who was the.
And in 5 and 6 they bring in Alec Baldwin.
Yeah, and I watched 6 last night, and Alec Baldwin has some very unfortunate lines in that movie. Like, I didn't know the gun was loaded.
I didn't think of that.
Oh, I did. I was like, oh. But I will say on record.
Now people are going to take it on the internet. And
No. Now I will say this on record. I do not blame Alec Baldwin for that woman dying because that wasn't his job. His job was to pull the trigger.
Well, he was producer, and like that, they're trying to.
Yeah, I know, but I'm sorry. They hired the stunt lady. Stunt lady apparently went out on a bender.
Yeah.
And had a good night, and then she came in and didn't do her stunt stuff.
Well, this is America, and we've got to blame everybody.
Yeah, you got to blame everybody because somebody died. But I mean, and then I've heard other people say, when they hand you a gun, you check the gun. I've heard. I think Clooney said that or something. You check the gun. You know that the gun's loaded or not, which I kind of understand. But at the same time, when you're not used to playing those roles, I mean, he was on 30 Rock. He's not. Right. He's not used to being James Bond.
Like if someone if someone handed me a gun on set, I wouldn't have assumed it was a gun that was capable of firing a real bullet.
No, not at all. But even the wadding from stunt guns can kill you.
Yeah.
The wadding coming out at killer velocity can kill you. But are you excited now that maybe Solomon may be in the new movie?
Well, what's the name of the? There's a part 1 and part 2. What's the name of the? What's the byline on?
Oh, I don't know what the byline.
7 and 8.
Because we were before we were Dead Reckoning Part 1. Dead Reckoning Part 1. So we know right now.
When's it come out?
It comes out this week.
Now, are you sure? Or is it gonna be like the Barbie movie where they keep talking about it? And I thought the Barbie movie came and went like 2 months ago. And they go, no, Barbie's coming out soon.
No, and that's what everybody was upset when the set photos leaked because they put them out like way too soon.
Yeah, not that I'm aching to watch Barbie, but
everybody was mad because they put set photos out so early. But release date is July 12th. It's the official release date. So
those are Amazon
and Haley
days.
Atwell's in it.
Oh.
So I'm looking forward to that. Now, if you follow the Captain America movies, Haley Atwell is his girlfriend. Mm-hmm. And she's Captain Britain in the What Ifs.
And in the Doctor Strange movie.
Yep, Doctor Strange.
She got to play it live.
She got to do it live. But anyway, it's about time somebody snatched up Haley Atwell to do something because she's really good, and people they need to give her something to do.
I like that Jarvis dude. He was in stuff for a while, but I haven't seen him in anything in a bit.
The guy that was Jarvis in the show and Haley Atwell show, yeah. What was the name of it? Agent Carter. Agent Carter. But anyway, it looks good. But they've all basically going over the series. There's not a dud. It's like you said. There's not a dud in the series.
No, I totally expected, like especially the J.J. Abrams one. I kind of thought.
I didn't get that. Can you try again?
Oh, Siri.
I keep thinking, like, whenever autocorrect like screws something up or whatever, I keep on thinking, yeah, the AIs are going to take over. Sure.
Yeah, sure they are. They can't even do anything right.
Oh my God. I imagine the Terminator slipping on a skull instead of smashing it.
Dang, 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 dang. But they've all been pretty good movies.
Yeah.
And I know I've actually seen, because, I do movie reviews and stuff and talk about movies, and I watch a lot of movie reviews, and I've seen a lot of people like just dying to get the Steelbook editions of these on 4K.
Oh, on specifically Mission Impossible?
The Mission Impossible movies.
I
I've seen several videos where people have been like, I found them. They're in the store now. And they're all excited. And I'm like, there's some I really do enjoy, and I wouldn't mind having them all, but, there's some I think in the middle that I kind of forgot, like the J.J. Abrams one.
Yeah, I think the big difference in the earlier ones compared to, now they're all done by Christopher McQuarrie.
Yeah.
And so, like since 5. So 5, 6, 7, and 8 are all Christopher McQuarrie. And, it seems like that there's, a tentpole franchise type stuff that they're doing now. But the ones before were all kind of, well, let's go out with a bang.
Yeah, like it might be the end.
This might be the last one.
This might be the last one. I think Dead Reckoning might be the whole, wrapping it up. For it to be a two-parter.
That would make sense.
It would make sense, and, Bond just had his big ending, and he might be thinking this is his Daniel Craig moment to kind of end it. So...
That's what, I know this is probably for another time or whatever. I like Daniel Craig.
Yeah.
I can't stand his movies. His
what do you mean you like him if you can't stand his movies?
I like him as Bond, but at the same time, the 007s that he was in do the dumbest stuff. Like Blofeld being his
brother,
stepbrother
somehow,
and just so he made you like he was that good at skiing that he made you that mad that you formed a terrorist,
an international terrorist.
Yeah, an international terrorist. James just was better. He was just better on the slopes, and it just bugged me. That's so stupid. And that one movie where Javier Bardem takes out his face,
and his whole face melts.
Yeah,
he takes out one denture piece. He takes out a partial.
Well, the denture had an eye socket, and then had his eyes so. And so he mentions that nobody goes by their real name. That was the whole focus of that movie. That from M to him, that all of them had secret names, except for James Bond. No, that's his real name.
Well, and that was something when Daniel Craig took over the James Bond movies that people were talking about was he really James Bond, or is James Bond the name that's assigned to 007?
That's what, for me, I always like the idea of James Bond being that all the movies are in canon, and it's just different dudes. And you get assigned the thing. Except for the one where Sean Bean dressed up as a clown and played 006 and then died in clown makeup. Poor guy. I mean, Sean Bean, that's his job to die, but to do it in clown makeup, it's kind of. Was that Octopussy?
No, because Sean Bean's in
No, he was young.
Oh, he had to be young to be in that. Well, because he was number 2.
But I don't remember Smirsh.
He was there. Smirsh. Go back and watch those. There's a whole video game on that. They did a whole video game of From Russia with Love, and you're flying around trying to kill Smirsh, but
I don't remember that at all.
Yeah. Go back and read them if you want.
Oh my gosh, I'm Mission Impossible out.
Yeah.
Now I need to see the trailer for the 7th.
Yeah. But they're talking about the big stunt. And it's this big canyon jump he does on the motorcycle.
Okay, I have seen
and then
that.
he's got the paraglider suit or something on. So that's the biggest thing he's done so far. Because they gotta do more.
I wonder when he'll eventually like give in and like let a body double or CGI it when he just can't do it anymore.
Well, I mean, he don't seem to be giving it up.
I like how James Garner quit Rockford. They were gonna do another season of Rockford Files, but his knee hurt too bad, so he couldn't do the stunts anymore. And if you've ever seen a Rockford Files, the stunts are maybe a J-turn in a car.
I was sitting here thinking a few and far between because I just
Yeah,
remember him walking around and fussing at everybody.
Yeah, and like so James Garner like he could have had like another season of Rockford, but like he couldn't do his car stunt, so like he goes, my knee hurts too bad. Like, oh.
But you know how I mean he'd already had 2 hit series kind of.
Yeah,
He had been in Maverick and then he'd had.
I think that was the point of where he got too old to do it, and he got pissy about it.
Whatever. I mean,
And so I'm wondering if Tom Cruise, but although he'll have to he'll get shot up with some androgen or something like that.
yeah.
He'll like.
But a lot of people don't like Tom Cruise. I don't go to actors for my religious beliefs. So I don't care about the Church of Scientology. I think it's all a bunch of hooey.
Well, I think that like there are people in Scientology that get taken advantage of, and then there's people, then there's people that are catered to. Like he probably is treated like a god in Scientology.
Oh yeah, because he's the most well-known member.
But yeah, like everyone goes above and beyond and says that he's like the nicest dude.
And he really cares about everything.
And he goes out of his way to remember the crew.
Yeah, yeah.
And and he'll get presents for the crew and how's your mom doing?
Yeah, he seems to be a genuine person.
And I think the only, which I think is funny, is that he has too much eye contact.
Well, because he's trying to be engaged or whatever.
Well, I mean, but on one hand, it's really creepy that he's like overly engaged. But on the other hand, he's being genuine about it.
Yeah.
He's not, he honestly does want to hear how your mom is doing.
Well, I think I heard when, I think it was for the production of the Mummy movie that we were talking about earlier. And I don't remember who his co-star was, who the actor was. He wasn't nobody that's jumping out. But anyway, he was saying that Tom Cruise was training. They did a stunt at the very beginning of that movie where the building collapses and then they roll off the building as it's collapsing. And so he told the guy, no, you're doing it. You're doing it with me, and we'll train and we'll work out and we'll do it. And so the guy showed up. He said, he'd meet me tomorrow morning at 7. We're going to work out tomorrow morning at 7. And so the guy showed up to work out with him, and he said, and the security guard's like, oh, heck no, you ain't going in with Mr. Cruise. See you, dude. And he was like, okay, so he didn't go in. And so then the next day, Tom Cruise was like, dude, where were you? Why didn't you come? And he said, well, they turned me away at the door. And he was like, no. He said, I'll make sure that they let you in the next time. He said, because I told you to come, you're supposed to be there. And he was like, and the guy was talking about how genuine and how nice he was. But, he does have his people, his handlers and stuff, to where they had held the guy off. But anyway, the guy had said, that he was younger than Tom Cruise, and Tom Cruise was doing these stunts, and he felt beat up, and he was like, I don't know how in the world he's doing it. And
a different level of drive.
Yeah, and he was like, it was hard, but anyway. But he seems like a really genuine person. A lot of people love him. Now, Leah Remini, she was big in the Church of Scientology, and I've heard her say that, he wanted to play hide and seek. They went to his house for, $1 million, for a millionaire star type guy. And she said, and we go to his house, and he wants to play hide and seek like a 5-year-old.
Well, he's little, so he can hide under the cabinets. And he's got an advantage, and you play that as long as you can. I can't hide anywhere. I can't hide in the dishwasher.
Well, I have friends that still to this day, and they're younger than me, but they're in their 40s, but they love playing hide and seek. And I've been to their house, and let's play hide and seek.
See, I
didn't think it was that big a deal.
I'd want to play hide and seek, but like in Lenore.
You want a bigger campus to work on. Yeah. So okay.
I can't hide in the house.
Yeah.
You're gonna find me. I'm gonna be in the shower.
Well, that's what I'm sitting there thinking. They're at their house. They kind of got home base advantage. You don't know where to go hide.
Yeah, I'm gonna hide at Hardee's because no one's there.
Nobody's at Hardee's.
No one's at Hardee's.
I was there this morning.
That's what. Who's that guy that? Oh my God, Mike Lindell. Trump's my pillow guy.
Oh God, yeah.
The cops caught him at Hardee's, and I'm like, at Hardee's.
At Hardee's, of all places, he comes to Hardee's every day.
Well, I
got to have his sunrise.
Well, I guess I always associate Hardee's with I thought it would be like a Carl's Jr. if it was up north.
Maybe he just wanted his sunrise biscuit. That's all he wanted. But so overall, with the Mission Impossible, I do think Tom Cruise is the last great movie star.
Fortunately and unfortunately.
Fortunately and unfortunately.
It's who we've got.
It's who he is. And I like him. I like him in the movies he's in. I like seeing him.
I'm really surprised there's not a stinker in the six.
No, most of his movies that he does really aren't bad.
Yeah.
So I don't understand why people get so. It's like we were talking about Nicolas Cage earlier. People, jump Nicolas Cage for doing just about anything. Yeah. But what else you gonna do? Why not do it? People gonna pay me to do it. Might
as well.
Might as well. Tired of sitting in the house.
And I have to keep reminding myself that these people are in Hollywood. They're rich. They make way more money. They don't get told no a lot. They're just weird. Yeah,
they're weird. But that's just part of it. And you just gotta. But as long as you're not they're actors. Why are you worried about what they do? Why do you worry about what they care outside of it? Just go and enjoy and watch the movie, and that wasn't too bad. That was a good distraction for a couple hours, and now I'm back to my life.
I always have this thing about Hollywood people that, you look at Brad Pitt, and I constantly wonder. I wonder if he's eating human flesh.
Why?
Because it's when you're that rich, you just get offered, just like.
Well, apparently that's what happened to Armie Hammer.
Well, that's what I was about to bring up. Armie Hammer is that that he actually jokingly texts that he wants to eat somebody, and he's like, he was sexting. He's being weird.
He thought it sounded cool.
Yeah, I know. It's then he's not really going to eat you. But then again, I don't know for celebrities, yeah, I think they've eaten some people.
They probably eaten some people who didn't know it.
Well, that's what. Ever since that one movie about Matthew Broderick and Marlon Brando, and there was a restaurant that sold endangered animals, but it wasn't really endangered animals. They just were saying that or whatever. I think they've got that built with humans.
Yeah. So
I'm sorry to take it in a way.
I know, but I was just.
Did I derail you?
No, I thought of something and then it passed through my brain at the same time I thought of it. So, but they're just weird. But go be entertained and have a good time. But I'm looking forward to the new. I'm sure it will be a cliffhanger, even though he jumps off the cliff. We've already seen.
That's what I wish that there were more movies that were standalone movies. But this one's
big.
But this one's putting a part one out there already.
Yeah.
I kind of liked how 5 and 6 did it. That they were.
Yeah, they were bookends. And this might be. Because he's had 2 good ones, this might be.
And they explain because
let's have another one.
Because I obviously watched the 2 and did not realize that the bad guy was the same bad guy in both movies.
Yeah,
I've seen them before.
But see, I watched them within days of each other, so I was like, that guy.
I watched them back to back, and I still was thinking dude, you can't mess him up.
So overall, we enjoyed them. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you guys for joining us, and we'll see you at the movies.
Are you doing that?
I'll do it, whatever. We're flying.